pint-sized Toyota CHR was released in 2016, being one of the first vehicles by Toyota designed on the new TNGA C platform, alongside the 4th gen Prius. It has the most aggressive design in the Toyota crossover lineup, probably due to the fact it was originally planned to be under the now defunct Scion brand. In America, the tiny crossover is now less relevant than ever due to the success of the Corolla Cross that is built here stateside in Alabama. Sales are now but a trickle compared to the previous years, but also compared to just earlier this year. It's almost like the writing is on the wall for Toyota to kill off the CHR in favor of a new, roomier, and now hybridized Corolla Cross. But hope still lingers for a second generation CHR. And the latest we're hearing from Japan is suggesting a radical redesign with hybrid and battery electric aspirations. If you're new to the channel, my name's Kirk. I talk about Japanese cars a lot on the channel. That's one of the main focuses, and of course Toyota being the largest Japanese automaker, it's a little bit of my forte. So today we're going to dive into Best Car Magazine, a Japanese scoop site and magazine that typically has the most accurate predictions and renders for upcoming Toyota and Lexus vehicles, in all vehicles in the Japanese heritage for that matter. So here's the cover. We have the new CHR up front, and it's taking designs that look very familiar of something we've already seen before. So this is from the October edition here in 2022 of Best Car Web. Another intro page, and then we get into the combined pages here. Now the headline on the right hand side in yellow is saying ultra stylish SUV, the 2nd gen will appear next summer. As early as next summer, so summer, well, I mean, it's less than a year away because we're almost into fall at this point. They're saying this is going to take direct inspiration from a battery electric vehicle that Toyota showed this past December. So we're going to go through those scans and kind of compare the difference between these really gorgeous scans and what Toyota's already shared with us. So the green vehicle above, the best car is rendered, is a direct interpretation of this vehicle up in the front here. It just says BZ compact SUV. So they for sure are going to have a fully battery electric version of this vehicle at some point, that which we'll talk a little bit more in here a little bit. But also remember, this vehicle here in the back, this is the Crown Sport. And this is going to have a battery electric version of it probably in the future as well. And speaking of the Crown, notice how much this vehicle from the side, its silhouette, looks like a compact version of the Crown. I think it looks a lot better than the Crown. The proportions of the Crown are a little bit weird, but in this compact form that is likely the next CHR, it looks really, really good. Now, what are some differences between this model here and this rendering? Is the rendering more accurate? It's hard to say. Keep in mind that this is a concept and then this is a render. So there are going to be some things about this vehicle that are going to be different than both of what you see here, but I don't think that much different. Of course, the bottom bumper looks way better on the BZ compact SUV than it does here. This looks cheap with this fog light, and maybe they threw the fog light in there because the current CHR has a fog light option down there at the bottom as well. The overall design of the headlight and the daytime running light is the same, and the overall design of the beak, the front bumper here, is the same, I would say, above the license plate holder. It's very, very similar. But the lights are a little bit different here. We see a strong line throughout, where here it's kind of segmented and broken up. But the rest of the details are spot on, from the wheel arches to, well, I guess they added a handle here, right? This vehicle will have a handle on the outside of the vehicle, and they will probably have the iconic CHR handle in the C pillar back here as well. But this bottom portion here looks to be a direct interpretation of what we see on the bottom portion here. Two-tone roof, of course, no surprise. And I just find it interesting that out of all these vehicles, the ones that are up front could be the ones coming first. So we have the BZ3 that is coming out in China probably this year. This is probably the BZ1, which we don't know anything about. More likely a Japanese and Euro spec sort of thing. Here's the BZ4X that's been recalled. And then we have this vehicle here, which I was thinking, hey, maybe they're going to call it the BZ3X or something like that. But no, this is the CHR. So that's pretty crazy. And then also this will be the BZ5X when it comes out, probably 2 years from now. And then also in this image, again, showcasing these models as probably the front runners of the ones most likely to get battery electric variants in the near future. Again, another image here of the CHR, and man, it looks awesome in this, of course, concept, but it looks like it's going to carry over pretty much all of its design cues from what we saw this past December, which is great because this vehicle is gorgeous. One of my favorite concepts in this whole lineup. Now, this isn't the first time we've seen a battery electric CHR. Well, depends on where you're at in the world. In China, they have the Iozoa and the CHR twins, which are battery electric versions with a 50-something kilowatt hour battery, 150 kilowatts, so 201 horsepower, front wheel drive only. So I would expect when they make a battery electric version of the second gen CHR, it'll have all wheel drive, probably very much like the BZ4X, so around 214 horsepower, somewhere around there. But the vast majority of these CHRs are not going to be battery electric. They're saying that this is going to be getting the 5th generation hybrid system, and it will get rid of the 1.2 liter turbo, which we don't see in the CHR here stateside. We see an outdated 2 liter, and we'll talk more about the powertrains on a spreadsheet here in a little bit. They're saying the current 1.2 liter turbo 4-cylinder is inferior for fuel efficiency, and so they will be using a 2 liter naturally aspirated and a 1.8 liter hybrid, and there will be a GR Sport version as well. Now, they got some really interesting information here when it comes to the Prius, which this should share just about everything with the Prius in theory in terms of powertrains. The next generation Prius is scheduled to debut at the end of this year, early next year. We knew that. But they're saying the power unit will be an improved 1.8 liter hybrid. No surprise. But they're saying that the plug-in hybrid, or the Prius Prime, is going to be a 2 liter. So will this have a 2 liter plug-in hybrid system as well? I highly doubt it, but it's something to get really excited about for the next generation Prius Prime. And they're saying all of these new hybrids, including the plug-in hybrid of the Prius, of course, will have a newly developed lithium-ion battery. So we're heading over to the spreadsheet to talk about the powertrains for this next generation CHR. The 1.2 liter turbo 4-cylinder we never saw here stateside, it's going to be abolished. It's not fuel efficient enough. It's probably not powerful enough either, but it could be had in all-wheel drive, and it could also be had with a 6-speed manual, which would make the CHR actually pretty fun to drive. Maybe match its looks, be able to match its looks with its driving characteristics. Now, they don't mention anything about this 1.5 liter because that's for smaller vehicles like on the B platform, but we're talking the C platform here. So we're going to get this next generation, 5th generation hybrid system on the CHR, but we're going to see it not only on the CHR, but we'll also see it on this 2023 Corolla. We're also going to see it, well, we already see it on the No and the Voxy, and we will see it on the Prius as well. And so you can just see this generational jump here from 121 horsepower to 138 horsepower on this 5th gen system. Of course, it can have all-wheel drive, which we never had an all-wheel drive CHR in the States, which doesn't make any sense. Now, they're saying that there could also be a 2 liter naturally aspirated setup, which I'm okay with. I mean, it makes sense because if we scroll to the right here, it currently has a 2 liter here in America, but it's old, it's outdated, it's not very efficient. So they get rid of this 144 horsepower crappy CVT as well, and they would go to the direct shift CVT, which is a real first gear, and they would give us an additional 25 horsepower over the outgoing 2 liter. Now, would they give us all-wheel drive with this 2 liter? I don't think so. I think they would keep it front wheel drive, and if you want all-wheel drive, you have to go for the hybrid. That's just my guess. Now, why wouldn't they put the 2 liter hybrid in here that we see in the new Corolla Cross hybrid? That is a mystery because that has up to 197 horsepower, and I think in the States it's 194 horsepower, but the Corolla Cross in Europe gets 197. It could be just a difference in fuel quality as well, what it's rated on. And I don't have it written in here, but then you'll eventually have a fully electric version of the CHR, and I don't expect it to come here stateside anytime soon. They can't even get the BZ4X here in volume. They can't even produce it in volume because they don't know what's wrong with the wheels falling off seemingly at this point, and it's been going on much longer than I thought. And will Japan bring the CHR here stateside for a second generation? It already is clawing for market share against its own brother, the Corolla Cross, and I think they should. It's a totally different design. Corolla Cross is all about practicality at an affordable price. The CHR should be affordable but having style. The Corolla Cross, there's nothing stylish about it. It's just pure functionality and utility. CHR, if it looks like this, even if it has less power than the Corolla Cross, people will go after it because people want a vehicle that doesn't look like an Econobox or Econobox hatchback crossover that looks like everything else. The CHR is super unique looking. I don't really care what hybrid powertrain they put in it because it's going to be a huge jump forward in terms of power and efficiency, but it's got to have all-wheel drive for it to be super successful here stateside. What are you guys thinking about this second-gen CHR? Would you be interested in it? Would you take it over the Prius? Because in theory, this is a raised up, more aggressive, and coupe-like Prius. Take out a little bit of that functionality, right? And maybe it doesn't handle as well as a Prius, but man, the current CHR is a lot of fun to drive. That thing is quite zippy in the turns. It doesn't weigh much. It's real compact. It likes to turn in because the wheelbase is so short on it. But what are your thoughts? I'm going to end it there. I'm excited for the CHR. I just hope Toyota brings it here stateside in some sort of volume. And I hope that they give us a tasty all-wheel drive hybrid system to whet the appetite for people who want some style and efficiency and a hint of power if we can at the same time. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button. If you enjoyed the design of the CHR, make sure to hit the like button as well. But make sure you subscribe for future auto news coming out of Japan and Korea. Catch you in the next one. Take care of yourselves and peace out.